Hands in. Today we're going to talk about another 2 words, 10 words of stack and tilt. Why it is important to move our hands in an inward path. A little explanation why to do that. But it helps us to achieve. And a few drills, how you can practice that and get a better hand path. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching. A golf swing, because we play in a tilted angle, the conditions of the hand have to be in an inward path. We are in a tilted position standing in front of the ball, and that circle we have to draw always has to be in an inward path in our backswing. And it also has to be in an inward path when we exit the club. To give you an easy explanation, which I use many times, especially with my little students, when I talk about tilted angles, they sometimes find it a bit more difficult to understand that. But I make them an example. I give them 2 options. I tell them what would happen if we would now not play with a golf ball on the ground, but we would have our ball positioned here on a super high tee. And I give them option 1, to hit the hardest in the ball I can, would be just moving my club around in the same plane and then hitting from there in the ball. And then we have option 2, which would be raising my club up and then hitting into the ball. So I would say all of them, the answer is 1, option 1. They say that definitely would be the most efficient way to hit with more speed in that ball. So then I showed them again and I said, okay, good. Now my ball is positioned here in front of me, super high tee. I will orbit my hands around me, but now we play in a tilted angle. So that is about where my hands should be positioned. And that immediately makes them understand the importance of moving the hands in an inward path around them when they swing up to P4. They also understood that, without telling them, that obviously on the other side the club is also moving around them, and the club would never hit like this in the ball and then exit there, which also leads to an inward path when we exit the club. So why, a part of keeping the geometry of the swing, why is this so important? Because for us, we have 3 fundamentals. The first fundamental is to control the low point of the club. The second fundamental is, where does the power come from? And the third fundamental is having a predictable ball flight. Moving those hands in an inward path definitely would fall in the biggest percentage in how to generate power. We can generate much more power if our hands move in a proper inward path than if those hands just move in a straight line away from us. Also, talking about power accumulators, our straight left arm, which is our 4th power accumulator, it has a pressure point which is located here on our chest. And what I have to achieve is that power accumulator is loading against that pressure point. And I can only achieve that if my hands move in an inward path. And I will never achieve that with my hands or my arms just moving away in a straight line, where I never will make contact with that pressure point. Good. So let's come to a few exercises I usually use for my students, so they can feel a little bit better what they should do, and they also have some small checkpoints which helps them to identify if they're doing it right or if they're doing it wrong. First of all, I just put here 2 alignment sticks. I can position my hands over them. It gives me a little idea where I would like to move my hands inwards in an inward path. Okay, and because holding that club like this, it will also give me an idea about my club plane. It will help my students not to move those hands inwards like that, where the club would be way too shallow. And I see that many times when some players, they try to move their hand path more inward, but the shaft is not in the plane. And having the shaft in the plane is definitely one of those important things which always should be in a golf swing. So holding the club here, moving the hands inward, and I can check that I have a proper club. In the exit, exactly the same. Hands moving inward, having my shaft in the plane. For the exit, we have another exercise I use very much. Staying already in an extended position. My hands almost in front of my chest. Moving my lower half forward, which changed my spine angle to the right. And now we will just pivot around our left leg with an inward path of my hands. And that would be more or less where I would like them to finish at P9 or P9.5. Easy exercises, like everything has to be built up slowly. There is no way you're going to achieve that in high speed. You can start by making small little swings, P3, P9. Start feeling how those hands move more in an inward path in your backswing and more in an inward path in a forward swing. A little P3 to P5 to P9. You still can hit pretty decent balls like that. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope it will help you in the future to hit those balls a few yards longer, definitely straighter. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a like. Thank you, bye-bye.